DLC.
There's a game that I wanted to bring in because, I said Prince of Persia is sweeping the internet, but really the game that's taking the internet by storm is a game called Palworld, which evidently has sold like 3 million copies in 48 hours or something insane. And is on Game Pass. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to check this game out. It is not the kind of game I am drawn to at all in any regard. If you have not heard of Palworld,
what world are you living on, pal? Huh?
Exactly.
Huh?
Well done. It is described succinctly as Pokemon with guns. Again, not something I'm drawn to, either of those things. I'm not a huge fan of Pokemon, much to my son's chagrin, by the way. My 7-year-old has gotten so far into Pokemon. It's almost like he selects his obsessions based on things I know the least about. Dad is a repository of things, of knowledge that 7-year-olds should love, except he picks the little niche, the particular niche that I just never got into Pokemon.
Hey,
anyway.
Dad, let's watch football. I love football. Great. I'm rooting for Chelsea. Who are you rooting for?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Dad, I love tabletop trading card games. Awesome. I have so much Magic the Gathering. I want to play Pokemon. Anyway, Palworld is not Pokemon. In fact, there may be some litigation to that effect because it is very much aping Pokemon to the point where some folks have even accused the game of ripping off Pokemon designs, like full on just lifting them. We shall see how that plays out. The folks behind Palworld said in a very cheeky and I would say legitimately funny response, if Nintendo comes after us with their lawyers, we have lawyers too, and they have guns. See, we have Pokemon, they have Pokemon, ours have guns. I thought pretty funny response. We'll see if humor is what stops the lawyers or if they'll actually have big Nintendo lawyers saying shut this whole thing down. But in the meantime, they're making tons of money on this thing. And it is, Christian, you are much more of a Pokemon player than I. And by much more, I mean, it's like the difference between 0 and whatever percentage you put yourself at. You love the Pokemon games. I have literally never played any Pokemon. I've just missed it completely. It was never something that I was drawn to. And having said that, I will say this seems to me to be the Pokemon game that everyone has always wanted. Not because it has guns. That's a whole other thing. But because it's a giant open world, collect Pokemon and let them fight for you and do cool stuff game. What? Multiplayer. And has multiplayer. Yes. So in that sense, like, I can totally understand why this game is doing gangbusters right now. It's because it's literally delivering the thing that Nintendo has stubbornly refused to deliver, which is people want to get with their friends and basically do Monster Hunter, but with Pokemon. They want to collect Pokemon. They want to actually use the Pokemon in battles that aren't boring, I mean, not saying Pokemon battles are boring, but like when you're in this dynamic real-time action combat in Palworld and you toss a Pokemon out, it's awesome. It's awesome in a way Pokemon has never been, in my, detached, looking from afar observation of it. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but like you see the Pokemon out in the world, like dynamically doing stuff, fighting for you, using its cool abilities. That's neat. That's just like neat. And then you get to the layer of, which I have not experienced, but you can it's got all these survival mechanics, which is nothing I'm particularly drawn to either in games that appeal to me. But you build houses and structures and things, and you can put your Pokemon to work. They're not Pokemon, they're pals. Your pals. They're Pokemon. But you put them to work. And so this game is very much like, Pokemon is like, oh, they're adorable and they want to fight for you. It's their desire to fight. You're a trainer, but it's this beautiful, positive relationship. Palworld is like, no, you are you are a horrible like a circus operator, you know, like you're making the elephants do tricks, and it's a horrible life for them, but you're a dictator, and you're just whatever you say they have to do. And that's how it is with the Pokemon. You exploit them, you put them to work. You can unlock conveyor belts and create this like this sweatshop environment for the Pokemon to build your toil away day after day and build your weapons, for you. It's kind of dark, but clever. I will say it's clever. And you literally can just destroy the Pokemon in order to harvest their materials to build other things. And for example, you can get a meat cleaver to chop up a Pokemon a pal, the adorable pal. You can get a meat cleaver to chop it up. And you know what you can do? You can force the pals to make the meat cleaver that will eventually be their demise. It's very dystopian in a very real way. And I have gotten to none of that, right? I have barely begun to play this, and I only bring it up really as a discussion topic because you, Christian, know way more about Pokemon than I. I don't know your level of relationship, Daryl, with Pokemon.
I've never played Pokemon because I didn't understand the point.
Oh, the point is that you gotta collect them all.
Right.
That's
I mean, people have said that to
Fun.
me, and again, I asked the question, "What's the point?"
You have to have a compulsion to collect them all.
But the way you describe this pals game, I'm beginning to question my worth as a human, because I feel like I really, really want to be abusing some pals. The way you describe this game, I
have
feel
I
like
got a
I
game
would
for
play
you, my
this.
friend?
So
Yeah.
I won't play Pokemon, but I feel like Pals is a game I want to play.
I may have just sold you on a subscription service because this is on Game Pass, baby, and you can play it on PC. I am. And it is not super system demanding either. It's a very cartoonish looking game.
wow.
And it, like I said, I have barely scratched the surface of this game. I'm running around smacking stuff with sticks. There's no guns in my world. I understand guns come very late level, and I'm just smacking stuff with sticks. But I kind of get the appeal, and I think this is just a bizarre topic. In that maybe this would have been better for the story of the week segment than what I've been playing. But I did play some of it enough to sort of understand what was going on and kind of see the appeal and feel like it really is a situation where a very real desire in people was not being fulfilled. And all these Pokemon games come out, and some are good and some are bad. And I hear people talk about the good ones and the bad ones and what's good and what's bad. But there's like a fundamental desire to live the Pokemon fantasy that I don't think has been represented in video game form. And maybe the closest to actually living the fantasy has been with Pokemon Go, because again, this is from the outside looking in, somebody that doesn't have any connection to this franchise and hasn't really played the games. But I feel like the games aren't fundamentally delivering the fantasy. And Christian, I'm here to ask if I'm right about that.
I think they've been delivering on the fantasy for a while, but people want something different. They've been doing it. It's been an incredible turn-based RPG forever. And I think a oftentimes pared down version of a rock, paper, scissors turn-based RPG done very well with incredible art design and characters design and music, and really creating these vibrant worlds where you want to spend time. What you don't have is real-time combat where, except for like Stadium and some of these offshoots, right, where you as the trainer are also doing cool moves while your Pokemon is doing cool moves. Like, it's always you select what move your Pokemon does. You get to then see it acted out on screen, and it's cool, but it's not you manipulating the world a la Fortnite, which Palworld seems to kind of rely on as well in terms of its aesthetic, and doing those things while you're doing this. I'm curious to see how this all plays out. taking off my sweet Play Games Be Nice embroidered hat that you can get at store.dlcfun.com and putting on my no longer attorney cap. What I find fascinating about this game is perhaps less the blatant theft of designs, but more so this studio Pocket Pair, I believe, approach to being very vocal in support of using AI and creating their games in this game. And it seems like there might be and I don't know, we're still in it, right? This game just came out, but it seems like there might very well be a case where they didn't rip off Pokemon designs. They trained an AI.
We didn't do it. The robot did it.
To steal all this, to borrow.
We're forwarding all your litigation emails to the robot because that's the robot's purview. I don't know.
We trained this AI on Pokemon, and then we said make new monsters, and we got these new monsters that, yes, that is clearly that person's fin and that person's beak and that person's eyes. But like I truly think this is a fascinating era of creation, ownership, IP. Where's that line drawn in terms of, again, assuming this stuff is true and that's what happened. I'm fascinated by it. And I think part of the fantasy that isn't being fulfilled, that this game is fulfilling, that perhaps the other monster collecting games have not, Jeff, is whether rightly they did it in a proper way and just had incredible creature designers, or perhaps in less honest ways. This game has that creature design that is incredible looking because it looks like Pokemon. But that's what Digimon doesn't have.
Ours is Chew-a-Peak. Chew-a-Peak.
That's what these other games oftentimes, in my opinion, are lacking. Like, Pokemon character designs are iconic. Yeah. They are iconic, and it's hard. It is hard to make a awesome looking, simple, air quote, designed creature that speaks to people and that they can connect with in these ways. And Pokemon has done it time and time again. And however they did it, Palworld has also managed to do it. You look at this and you are instantly drawn into it because it looks like Pokemon.
Well, one of the things too is that these folks are an indie studio, right? They're kind of playing in the AAA space, and their reason for self-reporting why that's possible is because they used AI, right? They're like, hey, we actually were able to kind of make a sort of out hit our fielding, or whatever the phrase is. We're able to kind of play in a bigger sandbox because we have these tools. And I think that's fascinating as well. So I'm curious what the community thinks. This game is a huge success so far, a big enough success that I think it is going to certainly garner the attention of Nintendo. Whether or not they actually do anything about it will be another issue, but I'm fascinated by it. Christian, are you going to play it? It's on Game Pass.
Probably not, to be honest. I mean, maybe.
I'm so curious what you think of it, because this is not a game for me at all. This is not a game. Like I said, I'm not into survival games per se, like, excellent ones. Yes. But that's not a gameplay loop that I've been drawn to historically. I'm definitely not interested in Pokemon. This aesthetic does not appeal to me. The designs of Pokemon I've never been particularly infatuated with. Like, all of it is very much not in my wheelhouse. And I played it and I was like, I get it. I get why this is cooler than the Pokemon games that I've seen, in that it's kind of like, it's got a visceral reason to get the thing. The reason that you're collecting it is not only is it awesome on the battlefield and does cool stuff, but you can like put it in your stable and make it do stuff for you. And it's got, pieces of it help your world get cooler and better. And you build it's got loops, gameplay loops that the Pokemon games have shied away from or resisted. And it seems to me.
And I think the silliness of it is appealing to the content creator
very
side
much so.
Of folks playing games. Like,
and the multiplayer too plays into that. Yeah.
Yep. It's got legs.
It's got all kinds of weird looking legs because they're like Pokemon legs. Anyway,